Hey, Dan Lutz here. I'm down here in Fullerton at the GNL factory. Just wanted to talk a little bit about my favorite new bass, the GNL SB-1. I got this bass about 6 months ago, and you know, I've been playing a bunch of different jazz basses, and I have a 62P bass, and I have a bunch of different instruments, but I wanted something that you know, felt familiar but kind of gave me some more options on the stage and in the studio. But I always default to a P bass. And so my buddy Steve said, you got to check out this SB-1. These MFD pickups, this magnetic field design pickups, and just the bridge and what is going on here at GNL is pretty special. And I said, I don't want another P bass. I don't need another P bass. I've got that sound covered. And he's like, check this out. This is different. It does a little bit more. It has a little bit of a broader voice, a wider tone thing happening, and they feel great. So I came down and I tried some jazz basses because I'm kind of a jazz bass player. And when I started playing this P bass, it just absolutely caught my heart. It was really great. The main thing, one of the coolest things about this pickup, this is a passive bass, but the output on these MFD pickups is super hot. Most people that I play or have come play the bass or pick up the bass, they're like, this is active? I said, no, it's not active. In fact, I've even plugged in active basses that were still not as hot and strong sounding as this bass. So something special right away. The other cool thing is this 6-bolt neck design is just really, really cool. Super firm. I haven't had to set this bass up in 6 months, and I've been taking it on planes from the East Coast to the West Coast. This thing is really, really solid. So yeah, I'll just play a little bit. I have the bass wide open right now, and you can just kind of hear the resonance and the tone of it. So. So you can really hear, like, all the way across, the bass is really responsive. You don't get any sort of lag in tone, or nothing drops down. It doesn't get quiet where you're playing a certain register on the bass. The tone is fat all the way through the G string. Check these out. Check this note out. Just really even. It stays the same. You don't hear any sort of pops. You don't hear any dips in the tone. It's really, really beautiful all the way up the bass. And then even if you're, you know, depending on where you're playing, but if you wanted to try and sort of like have a, like, I can't be lyric, or it doesn't have a voice on a P bass, it's just for rhythm section playing. So not at all. Listen to this again, just the tone is way up, but check out the tone and the quality and the sustain on just the upper register stuff. every note comes through really clear. You can hear all the qualities of the chords, even sort of like dense chords. You can really hear everything. Nothing's getting in the way, nothing's too muddy. It just sounds really nice and clear. And then, you know, if you're digging in and you kind of get away from the pickup a little bit, you still have a nice growly kind of a tone. Check this out. Gets really kind of gritty, and that's without any sort of overdrive or any sort of help in that area. And then again, like if you want to get an upright like vibe, maybe you're trying to play mellow or a ballad, this thing is so warm. Again, I'm going to leave the tone all the way up. I haven't even messed with the tone knob, but just check out this for walking or playing like a ballad. Really kind of almost piano-like sustain. Every note has its own voice. There's no weird overtones. Again, I think that's probably in parts of the high mass bridge, the 6-bolt kind of neck thing, and then these pickups are just absolutely super fantastic. Now, if I wanted to kind of get into a more R&B thing, and again, without really doing any palm muting or anything like that, I'll just back off the tone about 30-40%, and then you can kind of hear where it might play in sort of an R&B kind of Motown-y sound. You just take that top end off a little bit. You still have a little bit of that top end, but not nearly as much before. So now you're kind of getting into a more darker, warmer sound that a P bass is more traditionally known for. And then if you want to slap on a P bass, everybody's, oh, P bass doesn't sound good slapped. Man, this thing sounds fantastic slapped. And it does a really good job of maintaining that. It does have that old school slap sound. It's not a Marcus Miller. It's not that kind of a thing. It's not trying to be that. But it really sits well in the mix. So check out the slap tone on this. So it has like that nice bright kind of vibe, but it still sounds old school. So it's fun. It's fun to mess around with that. And then just, lyric playing, all that kind of stuff is all in there. There's a lot of different things that you can do, you can experiment with this bass, and all the while, it feels as familiar as a P bass. So you're not feeling or competing with the instrument in any way. It is still, at the core, what Fender had originally intended, which is that it just basically took that P bass that he made famous and then it took it up a notch. So it didn't certainly replace a 62P with flats. It hasn't replaced any of my instruments. It's really just kind of added to and taken what I can do on a P bass to another level. The lyric stuff, the jazz stuff, the ballad playing, the R&B stuff, everything is covered with this bass, and it's cool. You don't have to go out, what's the newest pickup, what's the newest body style, what electronics? No, forget all that. You got the MFD, you got a 4-string P bass, and you're covering all styles, all vibes, as long as you want. It's really, really fun. From top 40 to jazz, if you're an electric player, this is a bass that you definitely need to it's definitely worth checking out. It's worth investing in. The SB-1 from G&L, absolutely beautiful.